The call came at 5:17 in the morning. I know that because I had just checked the time maybe 2 minutes before. I hadn't really slept. I was curled up in that stiff hospital chair next to Ethan's crib in the pediatric ICU at Texas Children's in Houston. Hospitals at night are strange. They're never dark, never quiet, just softer panic. When my phone started vibrating in my hand, my stomach dropped. I didn't even look at the screen right away. I already knew it wouldn't be good news. It was Dr. Ramirez. His voice was steady, measured. "Mrs. Carter," he said gently, "we're noticing some changes in Ethan's oxygen levels." That word, changes. A few hours earlier, they had told me he was stable. Not better, but stable. And when you're a parent sitting beside machines that are breathing for your baby, stable feels like hope. Now I was standing barefoot on cold tile, staring at my 6-month-old son through glass, trying to understand what changes really meant. And while I was standing there, my parents were at the airport, boarding their flight to Hawaii. I knew because at 5:02 a.m., my mom had texted me a selfie. Airport window behind her, pink sunrise. "Boarding soon. Try to rest. Love you." I didn't answer. The night before, I still believed they might stay. Ethan had been admitted 3 days earlier after what started as a simple respiratory infection. Houston weather that week had been all over the place. Warm, humid, then suddenly cold again. Every kid we knew was sick, but Ethan didn't bounce back. By the third night, he was in the ICU. I stepped outside near the vending machines and called my parents. "He's in intensive care now," I said. There was a pause. My dad said carefully, "ICU doesn't always mean critical." "I know," I replied, and I did know that. But I also knew what the monitors sounded like when they changed. "Maybe you could postpone," I asked, "just until we know more?" Silence again. Then my dad cleared his throat. "The tickets are non-refundable." Non-refundable. I remember staring at the hospital floor when he said that, like maybe the words would land differently if I wasn't looking at anything. "Okay," I whispered, but it wasn't okay. At 5:17 a.m., Dr. Ramirez explained that Ethan's oxygen levels had dropped overnight. They were increasing support, watching closely, adjusting settings. I stepped into the hallway because suddenly the room felt too small. That's when my phone buzzed again. Another picture. The runway this time. "About to take off. Call if you need anything. Call if you need anything." I typed back. "His numbers are worse." I watched the little typing bubbles appear, disappear, appear again. Finally, "We'll pray." A few minutes later, my dad left a voicemail. I could hear airport announcements in the background, boarding calls, rolling suitcases. And I realized something that hurt more than I expected. They weren't confused. They were choosing. Here's the thing. It would be easier if that morning had shocked me, but it didn't. Growing up in Katy, just outside Houston, everything in our family looked perfect from the outside. My dad ran a successful construction company. My mom chaired charity events. We had the Christmas cards, the vacations, the polished smiles. But emotions were inconvenient. When I struggled with postpartum depression after Ethan was born, my mom told me gently, "You just need to stay busy." When I said I felt overwhelmed, my dad said, "You've always been sensitive." So when they chose Hawaii, part of me wasn't surprised, just tired. That afternoon, my mom posted a picture on Facebook. Blue water, palm trees. Grateful for this time away. I was sitting in a plastic chair next to an IV pole when I saw it. I didn't comment. By the third day, Ethan was responding, slowly. Small improvements. The kind you don't celebrate out loud because you're afraid to jinx it. That afternoon, I answered when my mom called. "How is he?" she asked. I could hear waves behind her. "He's fighting," I said. "We've been so worried," she replied. I paused. "Have you?" I asked before I could stop myself. There was a long silence. "We worked our whole lives for this trip," my dad's voice said from the background. "We can't put everything on hold every time something happens. Every time something happens." I looked through the glass at my son's tiny body surrounded by wires. "This isn't something," I said quietly, and I meant it. Then my mom said something I'll never forget. "We didn't think you needed us like that." Like that. That was the moment everything became clear. It wasn't that they didn't love us. They just didn't know how to show up in the ways that mattered. And maybe they never had. Ethan was discharged 12 days later. Walking out into the Houston heat felt unreal. Heavy air, bright sun, life moving forward like nothing had happened. My parents came back 2 days after we got home. Tanned, relaxed, carrying gifts, a stuffed sea turtle, boxes of chocolate-covered macadamia nuts. My mom hugged me tightly. "We were sick with worry," she said, and maybe she believed that. But something in me had shifted. I stopped expecting them to become different people. I stopped asking for what they didn't know how to give. We see them on holidays now. Birthdays. Structured days with clear start and end times. They love Ethan the way they understand love. Through gifts, college savings bonds, photos for the mantle. And I've built something else. Friends from church. Other moms from that ICU waiting room. My sister-in-law who drove from Austin without hesitation. The morning my phone rang didn't just change how I saw my parents. It changed how I saw myself. I realized I had been minimizing my own needs for years, shrinking them, making them reasonable, manageable. But some moments aren't manageable. Some moments reveal the truth. At 5:17 a.m., under fluorescent lights, while a plane lifted into the sky heading for Hawaii, I learned exactly who would stay in the hallway with me, and who wouldn't. A few months after everything happened, my mom asked me something that stayed with me. We were in my kitchen. Ethan was on the floor banging plastic trucks together, completely unaware that he had once been surrounded by machines instead of toys. She was slicing strawberries like nothing had ever fractured between us. Out of nowhere, she said, "Are you still upset about Hawaii?" It wasn't defensive. It wasn't aggressive. It was confused. I wiped my hands on a dish towel and leaned against the counter. "I'm not upset about Hawaii," I said carefully. She looked relieved for half a second. "I'm upset about being alone." That landed differently, because that was the truth I hadn't fully said out loud before. It wasn't about beaches, or plane tickets, or Facebook pictures. It was about sitting in a hospital hallway at dawn, watching nurses move quickly past me, and realizing that the two people who had always told me I could count on them weren't there, and maybe didn't understand why they should be. My mom didn't respond right away. She just kept slicing strawberries. Finally, she said quietly, "We didn't think we'd help." That's when I understood something I hadn't before. They thought help meant fixing something, paying for something, solving something, taking control of something. But staying doesn't mean fixing. Sometimes staying just means sitting beside someone while they're scared. It means bringing bad coffee. It means holding a purse while someone talks to a doctor. It means being another pair of shaking hands in the waiting room. You don't have to solve the crisis. You just have to witness it. That was the difference. That was the fracture. Ethan is older now, healthy, stubborn, loud in the way only toddlers can be. Sometimes when he falls and scrapes his knee, he runs straight into my arms like the world is ending, and I hold him. Not because I can stop the pain, but because I can stay. The morning my phone rang taught me something I didn't learn growing up. Presence is a choice. And love, real love, isn't measured by vacations postponed or tickets refunded. It's measured by who stands beside you when the outcome isn't guaranteed. Some people board the flight. Some people stay in the hallway. And now, as a mother, I know exactly which one I will always choose to be. There's a part of the story I don't talk about often, not because it isn't important, but because it's quieter. A week after Ethan came home, when the house finally stopped smelling like hospital sanitizer and started smelling like baby lotion again, I broke down in the laundry room. Not in front of my parents, not in front of nurses, not even in the ICU. In the laundry room, my husband, Mark, found me sitting on the floor between piles of tiny onesies, crying in a way that felt older than the situation. Like I wasn't just crying about the hospital. I thought I was strong, I told him. He crouched down in front of me. You are. I kept telling them to go, I said. I kept minimizing it. I kept saying it was fine. Mark didn't rush to correct me. He just said, "You've been doing that your whole life." And he was right. I had been translating my needs into something smaller for years. Something manageable. Something non-inconvenient. That morning at 5:17 a.m. didn't create the loneliness. It exposed it. In the weeks that followed, something unexpected happened. People showed up. Not in dramatic ways. In ordinary ones. A neighbor left casseroles on our porch. A mom from Ethan's daycare organized a meal train. My sister-in-law drove in again from Austin just to sit on the couch while I napped. No one asked if it was refundable. No one asked if it was convenient. They just stayed. And slowly, I stopped measuring love by what my parents couldn't give. I started recognizing it in what others naturally offered. Months later, when Ethan had his follow-up appointment and the cardiologist said, "He looks great. No long-term concerns," I felt something unclench inside me. Relief, yes, but also clarity. My parents still send postcards when they travel. They still talk about retirement plans and cruise itineraries. They still live in a world where plans are sacred, and I don't resent that anymore. I've just adjusted my expectations. They love in the language they learned. I love in a different one. And maybe that's the real conclusion. The morning my phone rang didn't destroy my family. It redefined it. It showed me who my emergency contacts truly are. It showed me that support doesn't always come from the people you assume it will. And it taught me something I carry with me every single day now. When the phone rings at 5:17 a.m., when the lights are too bright, when the air feels thin, you don't need perfect words. You don't need solutions. You just need someone willing to sit beside you and say, "I'm here." And now I make sure that when it's my turn, I am.